again to another episode of Parent Solution. And today again we have here with us Austėja. And Austėja is a teacher, a doctor of educator, and writer of many books and magazines. Welcome, Austėja.
Thank you.
And today Austėja is going to talk about mindfulness. Tell me something about it and everything about it. I want my viewers to know the real meaning of this word and why do our children need this?
Okay. Well, I would like to bring one angle because mindfulness is such a broad topic. And since we have a very limited time, I would like to touch just on one aspect of mindfulness. And I think it's the most important one. I'm a big fan myself, so I love talking about it. And when I have discovered it, I have never looked back. So we have implemented it in our preschools. We have implemented it in our schools. I use it myself and I use it with my children. I call it the incredible benefits of deep breathing. Because for most of us, breathing is a process that we hardly notice. It's automatic.
We breathe subconsciously.
It's like, when I say breathing is very important, a lot of people react like, whatever, because we take about 20,000 breaths on average. That's a lot. That's a lot. So what's there to talk about, right? We don't think about our breath. Well, this is great because if we had to think, then we won't be able to think about anything else in our lives because we will have to think for 25,000 times about breathing. But the simple act of inhaling and exhaling has a huge impact on how we live, how we regulate our emotions, on the quality of our sleep, and on the quality of whether we are able to be present in the moment. That's why when we talk about mindfulness, one of the first things we have to talk is about breathing. Because most of the time, especially for the beginners, mindfulness is taught to actually be mindful about your breathing for at least some minutes to begin with per day. Breathing is fundamental. And deep breathing, of course, has been used as a relaxation technique for thousands of years. There is nothing new, and I'm not the first or the 10th talking about it. But it's just that now the science and the neuroscience has proved that those are not tales of old times, that actually there is scientifically proven benefits, and breathing should be used to help when one is anxious, overwhelmed, needs to calm down, or just to pause. And it's very important for children because, we know how children are. They are buzzing with energy. They're exploring the world. They have lots of energy and enthusiasm. However, since they have lots of enthusiasm, they have lots of emotions as well. And those emotions, they lead children to moments of frustration, anxiety, tantrums, and send children into what's called, and brain scientists call it flight, fight, or freeze mode. Because we activate our sympathetic nervous system. So learning to deal with strong emotions, which is learning to engage the parasympathetic nervous system is a big job for a little human being.
Yes,
It's a very big job. It's a big job for adults. So it's a very big job for little children. But learning to do that is an essential part of growing up, because nobody wants to deal with, adults who are not able to manage their big emotions. So teaching even young children deep breathing techniques is incredibly beneficial for their well-being and for their overall development, because it teaches them to manage their emotions effectively and to promote calmness. Because when we learn to stop and breathe, and that way to engage our parasympathetic nervous system, we actually become self-aware, and we have a healthier body-mind connection. And, some people still think that there is magic in this, but there is no magic in it. There is science, because deep breathing lowers heart rate and increases oxygen levels. And that calms us physically and mentally. So it teaches us several things. Well, first of all, it teaches us emotional regulation, because when we take slow, deep breaths, we'll learn to calm ourselves during moments of stress, frustration, or anger, because it's like a pause button. It functions like a pause button. Instead of reacting, we retract. We hit the pause button and we breathe. And breathing helps us to self-regulate, right? What other thing it does, it increases focus and attention, because mindfulness is about being here and now. It's not thinking about the future, what will be, and fearing it, and dramatizing it, and making an elephant out of the out of small things, or creating stories about the past, and I should have done this, I should have done that. You can't change that.
Absolutely.
You can't change the past, and you cannot foresee the future. You can plan for the future, but we know very well how sometimes our plans just go whoosh out of the window. So the only thing we can affect is here and now. How we communicate, how we behave, what we think about. And that's why mindfulness is so important. And breathing helps us to be here and now, because it increases our focus and attention. Instead of thinking about what was or what will be, we concentrate on what we do now. We breathe. So we naturally divert our attention to our breath, helping us to stay present and centered. And of course, that, like I said, is a natural stress reduction, because, it brings oxygen to our system. And, with young children, it could be, the stress could be, because sometimes we say, I experience stress. Children don't experience stress. Of course they do. It can be due to separation anxiety. It could be to conflict with the peers. It can be due especially for teenagers, due to academic pressure, or to as simple things as transitions, because a lot of children are sensitive during transition time and they can get very stressed. So deep breathing then helps them to de-stress, because it's a stress relieving technique. And you don't even need an app for that. You don't need money, you don't need equipment, you don't need anything. You carry it with you all the time, at all times. And what happens also is that why it is a good stress reduction thing to use, because when we deep breathe, it activates the relaxation response in our bodies, and it reduces the levels of stress hormone such as cortisol. So deep breathing helps us to develop resilience and teaches us to cope with to cope with stress without medicine, but with healthy and in a healthy and effective manner. And I understand that, you know, sometimes it spirals out and we need medical help. But, you know, why don't we begin with something that we have with us at all times? And maybe we won't need further interventions and bigger interventions. And of course, you know, it also improves sleep quality. And again, now we know today, and a lot of scientists, especially lately, have been many books published about the importance of sleep and of quality sleep. So deep breathing before falling asleep helps to release any residual tension or worries that children, they may be carrying from the day, allowing them to have a more restful sleep, which improves health since it improves immune response. So, you know, there are so many wonderful things that I really advise the teachers and the parents to start doing it. And there are very, very simple things. Like we start with our preschoolers, you know, basically we call it rule of five, right? And you just inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. So you have your hand at all times with you, and it's an equipment you need. The other equipment is your nose and your mouth. And you just breathe. And actually just those 5 breaths calm your systems. So, you know, so when the child is stressed or when you are stressed, it really, really helps to calm down. And again, you know, if we want to teach something to children, we need to practice it ourselves.
Yeah.
Because children learn not from what we say, but from what we do. And if they see us do that, they start mimicking and they learn those things. So we need to be a role model because they observe us. You know, so when they see us, for example, you know, I'm a teacher and I get stressed and then I say, okay, I need a minute to breathe. I close my eyes and I breathe in, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, you know, they see that that's the way I deal with frustration. And they will be more likely to adopt the practice because they see me having it in my life. So I think it's an amazing tool, and the science has, you know, we have ample of proof how beneficial it is. And we have to be mindful about here and now if we want to be more able to deal with stressful situations in the future and to let go of the past, which is also very important.
Thank you for sharing everything. And for all the viewers, now you can use your tools, which is really ready with you, your hand and nose, to de-stress yourself and leave your anxiety and depression aside. Just breathe. Be mindful about your breathing, and you are stepping into mindfulness. Thank you, Austėja, for sharing this. And if you all want to know more about Austėja and her work, go reach out to her. I'll be putting her website link in the description box. Thank you, Austėja.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.